1, 2, 3, 2, 2, 3. Out there in Guitar Land, Mike Hedding here. It's that time of year again. Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays. I wanted to teach you an arrangement of Silent Night, the old Christmas song in the key of G. This song always brings me back to my childhood, listening to this on Christmas Eve, the anticipation of Christmas coming, and it always brings me right back there. It's a beautiful old melody. We're going to learn it in the key of G, like I said. We're going to learn the basic melody in an upper octave. Maybe something you would play at a jam with more people. So playing the notes up a little bit higher octave, which raises it above the rest of the jam. And then for the second solo, we're going to learn the basic melody in a lower octave and then add some cross picking. So crossing the strings fills up the sound, kind of makes the guitar sound like a piano, a harp, maybe even a banjo. So this will be, the second solo will be maybe more for like a solo guitar arrangement. It's a little bit more challenging, but I think you can get it with some practice. I'll break down both solos note for note exactly as I played at the beginning, and I'll show you my tips and tricks, all my left hand, right hand fingerings and pick direction I use, everything you're going to need to learn the solos. And then lastly, we'll learn some backup. So how to play the chords, how to do 3/4 strumming, how to do some easy bass walks in 3/4. We'll break that down all as well. All right, let's jump into Silent Night in the key of G. All right, let's start breaking down this basic melody to Silent Night in the key of G. So I wanted to start by playing it in a higher octave. I think that's nice, especially if you're playing with other instruments. It helps the solo pop out a little bit more. And then for the second solo, I'll show you the basic melody in a lower octave and how to add some cross picking. And that might sound nice if you're just playing it by yourself or with one other instrument. But if you're in a big jam, sometimes it's nice to play the solo up a little higher in pitch, which kind of helps it pop out above the other instruments. So let's just take this phrase by phrase. I think playing it like 4 measures at a time will be helpful to learning and memorizing the melody. All right, let's jump into the basic solo. All right, so let's start breaking down this basic melody. Let's play the first 4 measures. Remember, we're in 3/4 timing, so we're counting 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. We have 3 quarter notes per measure, okay? So here we go. I'll do it a few times. Not too hard. We're going to start with our middle finger of our left hand on the 3rd fret of the 2nd string, which is a D note, and we're going to play a dotted quarter note. So it's going to be 1.5 times the normal length of a quarter note. A quarter note is normally 1 beat, and we have 3 quarter notes per measure. So it would be 1 quarter note plus an 8th note. So we're going to count 1, 2, and then our next note will be on the end of beat 2 rather than on beat 2 directly. So we have 1, 2, and then we're going to play the open E string, high E string. Just keep your middle finger down. And I'm playing that with an upstroke. And then I'm going to go back to the 3rd fret. And then we're going to play a dotted half note on the open 2nd string, which would be, a half note would be 2 quarter notes, and then a half of that would be 1. So 2 plus 1 equals 3. So that's basically a dotted half note is how you fill up the full measure in 3/4. So we have 1, 2, 3. So let's just play that. It's kind of like the opening melody line. We're going to go, so I'm going down, up, down, down. The picking is also very important. It's going to help you play the timing. So we have, so I'll play it while counting too. So you have 1, 2, and 3, 1, 2, 3. And then we actually play that exact same line again, so we could just loop it. 1, 2, and 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, and 3, 1, 2, 3, without counting. So a couple things you can do. One is you could tap your foot to help you keep the timing. The other thing you could do is kind of like air guitar, move your pick, but not touch the string. So I might do something like this. So I'm kind of air guitaring those other quarter notes just to help my right hand keep the rhythm. I like to do that. I find the less like stopping and starting I can do with my hand, the better. So I'm always kind of just keeping my hand moving in that rhythm, even if I'm not directly touching the strings. That just helps me keep the timing, I've found. So let's play that a few more times, not too hard. So one other way you could do those exact same notes, just for a little bit of fretboard knowledge practice, so that open high E string is the same as the 5th fret on the 2nd string if you're in tune, hopefully. And that open 2nd string is the same as the 4th fret on the 3rd string if you're in tune. So one other way just to practice it might be this. Same exact picking. Just to practice it with like closed notes rather than open strings. I would learn it both ways. It's the same exact lick. I kind of like the open strings because it rings out, but what's nice about learning the closed notes as well is, one, it helps you improve your knowledge of the fretboard. The other thing it does is, if you eventually had to move it to a different key, you could just like slide it up 2 frets and play it in a different key, which is kind of nice. So I recommend learning it with both open notes and closed notes, and we'll break that down more in the lesson, but that's the main gist of it. So we have... And then we have our next 4 measures. We're going to move our pinky up to the 5th fret of the high E string, and we're going to play that for a half note. And then we're going to play it again. And then down to the 2nd fret for a dotted half note. So we have 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And I'm using my index finger and pinky. That's what helps me do that reach. And it also kind of helps you not have to move around so much. So we have... 1, 2, 3. So I kind of use that open 2nd string in measure 4 to get my hand in position, then I put it down. You could also use your ring finger if you felt like your pinky wasn't strong enough, but I would recommend trying your pinky. It's good practice. The other thing I'm doing is making sure I'm not playing too much on the pad, and I'm playing directly on the top of my pinky. Sometimes it's easy to go like that, which is you get a little bit of a clunkier note, so try and get your pinky going straight down. And then right here, measure 7, same timing. I'm just going to use my 3rd finger, my ring finger, put it on the 3rd fret, and play a half note followed by a quarter note. And then I'm going to put my 2nd finger back down on the 3rd fret of the 2nd string, and for a dotted half note. So the timing of those 4 measures is the same. It's 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1. So in measures 5 and 7, we're playing on 1 and 3, and then 6 and 8, we're just playing a dotted half note, which is just on beat 1. So we have... And I like using 2 different fingers there because it just helps kind of connect that phrase. You could also do those both with your 2nd finger, but you kind of get that, it kind of cuts off the tone. That's why I like doing it this way. So you kind of get those notes hanging over, which is nice. So let's do that one more time. This is also a good song to really You know, don't be afraid to pick your guitar, get some good tone. And then measure 9 into our C chord. We're going to play a half note followed by a quarter note. So that same timing we just did. 1, 2, 3. Open E string twice. And then 3rd fret on the high E string. So that's 1, 2, and 3. That's the same timing as measure 1. So it's a dotted quarter note. 1, 2, and 3. And I'm going 3, 2, open on the high E string. So down, up, down, down, up, down. That upstroke, adding those upstrokes really helps you play that offbeat timing. So you have 1, 2, and 3. 1, 2, and 3. And then we actually just go back to the opening melody line. So that's all the same as measure 1 and 2. So let's play that whole part. We have. And then we loop that again, actually same exact line. I would just keep looping that. And where would we find those notes if you wanted to play that closed against the 5th fret? Something like that, right? Or you could grab it with your pinky here. So. But it's probably easier with the open strings. Again. And then this time we're going to move our index finger all the way up to the 5th fret of the high E string, because that's going to set up the next phrase. And we're going to play the same as measure 5, a half note followed by a quarter note. So 1, 2, 3. And then I'm going to reach my pinky all the way up to the 8th fret of the high E string. And then back to the 5th fret. And then I'm going to use my middle finger on the 7th fret of the B string, the 2nd string. And that's the same timing that we've been using. 1 and 3. 1 and 3. So down, up, down. So that sounds like this together. And then put your ring finger on the 8th fret right next to it. So 8th fret of the 2nd string. And then middle finger 7th fret high E string. So that's 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And that's like working out of this G chord right here, which is basically like your D chord just moved up a bunch of frets, which is a common shape. So we have. And I like using my middle finger there because that sets up my 3rd finger. And then we have a little ending phrase, and then we'll play it a few more times. Back to the 8th fret, so that note was already down. And then I like using my 1st finger here, 7th fret, open B string, 2nd string, move back down, 3rd fret, and then 1, 2nd fret, 3rd string, open. So we're using that same rhythm a lot, that 1 and 3. We're using that at the end. So we have, and then we walk down quarter notes, use this open string to move back down, and then we'd be back to open 3rd string, which is our G. So let's play that last little bit. We have 1, 2, 3, 1, and 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, and 3, 1. And hopefully you're familiar enough with this melody that you kind of just naturally get that rhythm. But keep your fingers down of your left hand as long as you can. So that's the basic melody in a higher register. Let's play the whole thing. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. 1, so that's the whole basic melody. So practice it. I've got my left hand fingers below the tab, so I'd follow those. I think using the correct left hand fingerings is going to make it a lot easier. The notes aren't that hard. It's just using the correct fingers that are going to set you up to play the next part, and use the correct pick direction to get the rhythm down. So the staple looking symbols below the tab are the downstrokes, the V looking symbols are the upstrokes. Follow that rhythm with your pick. That's going to make playing the rhythm a lot easier, which is going to make the solo, right? Because it's such a recognizable song. If you don't get the rhythm right, even if you have the pitches right, it's not going to sound quite right. So always try and lock into that rhythm. Remember, I'm just counting 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So now let's break down the melody in a lower octave, and then we'll add some cross picking, which will be a little bit more advanced, but I think you can get it with some practice. All right, let's break that down right now.